Because what happens is when we are kind of like in that place of struggle, that place of struggle opens up this kind of like portal into grief, into anger, into unprocessed emotions. And we're meant to walk into that portal. Lo and behold, no one wants to do that, right? But we are meant for that. We are transmuted by that. We are changed by that alchemical dance when we step into the totality of that emotion, because, and this is again something I teach over and over and over again, and we really dive deep into in Radiance Rising, is that you are so capable of transforming these energies, because the energies and the emotions and the sensations in your body, like, there's nothing scary about sensation in your body. It's only the thoughts that we then attach to those sensations and the stories that we tell about them, that we, can't feel them, that will be out of control, that will be messy, that other people won't want to be around us because we'll be Debbie Downer, that like all of the conditioning that we have in the Western culture that makes us put that away very quickly in a neat little box. And, like, why don't you do that on your own? We don't have this kind of like public forum for helping people process their grief, which they do in the other cultures, right? Like, I live in a Hindu culture and I do quite a lot with the Hindu Balinese. So it's like what I see in them, they have these ceremonies of catharsis and they go bananas. They are screaming and crying. And like, if there is grief to be let out, there's no holding back. Like the first ceremony I went like that in Bali, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, I did not know this happened here. It's something that expats like really don't get to see, these like deep catharsis ceremonies in Bali, but they do that often so that anyone who is grieving, if there's a mother whose child is sick or lost, or, there's someone who's like really struggling with money, like they can come together in community and be witnessed in their struggle and be loved. And it's held with reverence and with like respect. So in the Western culture, what we've had is this kind of disassociation from our emotions, from hard emotions, especially for like letting anyone else see those emotions. Oh my God, right? Like most of us, when we cry, we start to do this. Like I do that, when I cry, I'm like, oh my God. And it's this like, literally, we're hiding our crying if we're crying, and there just isn't a kind of like setup or a reference point for us to like really stand in like, okay, I'm gonna fully embrace my grief. I'm gonna fully embrace my rage. It's gonna be honored and witnessed. And then at the end of that, I'm gonna be seen and validated by my community. That like, wow, what a great job you did letting that go, and welcome this new person that you are as you have moved through that trial and tribulation, and we are here in support of you. So this is, again, one of the things that I think we are starting to evolve back into, like those ancient wisdoms are allowing us to reconnect with knowledge that we have lost. And this is like, on retreat and in my programs, like we teach this ability to be with each other in harder emotions, because we have to relearn that. And I had to go through really, really deep relearning of how to feel my emotions. It wasn't that I didn't want to. I literally felt numb, like I could not access them, right? And so until I found transpersonal psychology, Buddhism, breath work, Kundalini yoga, and I really, really went into those practices, these things that helped move it through my nervous system, my energy body, and then just my physical body. All of the medicines that I've used to just help me purge the crying and the grief, and realize that a lot of the time I'm not even grieving just for me. I'm grieving for, you know, the female lineage of all of the repression of all of women. You know, like we are so connected through our wombs, through the energy of just the feminine. We're really, truly, very deeply interconnected, more than we know. More than we know, we are exchanging communication and energy with the women in our life and with the women that have birthed us, right? Through the lineage of like my mother and her mother, and then her mother's mother and her mother's mother. Like all of their trauma and energy was carried in their wombs. And then we are still here as vessels to transmute that. So sometimes our initiations aren't even really about us, you know, like they could be about women in general and family and what's going on in the collective, right? So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to put that into the space. So when we are in struggle, you open that energy to the emotion that is there. Not the mind trying to figure out, how do I get out of this? What did I do wrong? Like, you know, the controlling mind loves to hook on and be like, I'll solve it, right? So, I mean, there's a place for that. And we want to come up with like, you know, aligned solutions. But first we have to actually allow space and like have a ritual, a ceremony to honor the emotion that is there, the sensations that would like to just come up and be felt. And again, that's not a process that everyone, it's like an innate process that we all knew how to do as kids, but through our cultural conditioning, most of us kind of got conditioned out of that process. So we have to relearn it as adults. So it's not always the easiest thing to tap into at the beginning, but then it gets easier and easier and easier, and you become like less hooked by emotional upheaval or dysregulation, and you can start to regulate yourself super easy, really like quickly and fast the more you practice this. So this begins our initiation, and then we go through struggle, we go through, you know, our trials that are testing us, and then we get to let go and release all of this kind of unconscious. It's like rotor-rootering for our unconscious, you know, like the junk that we carry gets shown and brought to the surface, gets felt, and then it gets to, you know, be removed and leave our bodies. So then we have this beautiful, clear space. We have literally new space in our body. We have more energy. We have more capacity to hold light. Right? So when we talk about, you know, the denser energies, they're called the shadow for a reason, so that we have this kind of symbology of looking at, you know, the darkness that is in us and the light that is in us. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. Darkness is not bad, you know, not in our kind of like neo-Christian like teachings, right? So it's just like, but it's like density to feeling a frequency of lightness, and the emotions that come into that frequency are, you know, pleasure, joy, ecstasy, peace, compassion, love. It's just easier to source those emotions and feel your baseline there after you've gone through something, a struggle. So it's a massive kind of reframe on